Today, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know everybody's hoping that water.
Can you stand there while I test it?
Yeah, I just wanted to click this on so it records that I'm part of the meeting. I don't need to sit and watch it. They've got it.
So my name is Steve Fairley. I'm the club president of the.
No, you just turn the camera off.
And I'd like to welcome you all.
And I got it muted so they can't hear me either.
Assembled in conjunction with the Marysville, Dublin A.M. and Tri-Village clubs. We will begin today's meeting with an invocation and pledge of allegiance. And it will be led by Jerry Cass, who is very busy right now at your table. Jerry, he's coming.
And then they can go on from there. That's the card.
If you'll take an attitude of prayer, please. As we pray to a supreme being, we ask today for some help.
Probably.
We need understanding. We need wisdom. We need to be good teachers. We need to be great role models. And we need to help those that need our help. We have to remember, as a wise person once said, when you're ready to learn, the teacher will appear. So let us all be that teacher and search those that are ready to learn. And to all of this, we all say, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Jerry. All right, for the people on Zoom, I've seen some chatting about not being muted. I think I have everybody muted at the moment, but if you can help mute yourselves, that would be very appreciated. All right, today we are quite fortunate to have with us in person, all the way from Zanesville, Ohio, our Rotary District 690 District Governor, Maryjane Shackelford. So please join me in welcoming her.
Thank you, Steve. It's so great to be here. And he says all the way from Zanesville, Ohio, but I do know that we got a gal on Zoom that's in Mongolia right now. So that might be like midnight in Mongolia. So that's pretty exciting. I did want to introduce some special guests that are in the room and then also on Zoom. So if you are in the room and I call your name, just give a shout out in a big wave. When I get to the Zoomers, if you guys would just raise your hand when I call your name out, and I will apologize right away. If you're on Zoom and I didn't see you and I missed you, I apologize up front. So to start off, we do have our district governor-elect in the house, and that would be Price Finley. And just walking into the room is our district governor nominee, David Uhl, and his beautiful wife, Perla. See, we have several club presidents in the room. We have Mike Bisler from Dublin A.M. Yay, hi. We have, let's see, David Jones from Tri-Village. David, you made it, thank you. Yay, David. And then we do have, let's see, we do have a few of our president-elects. And just so you guys may know this already, but the president-elects, this is 4 women who are very strong women, and they are responsible for putting this program together. And I'm hoping that Therese will kind of share the story with everybody, how this actually kind of materialized. But You have your president-elect for the Dublin-Worthington Club, as Teresa Russell. Where's Teresa? She's out there. She is. Woo, Teresa! The Dublin A.M. president-elect, Susan West. Yay, Teresa! And all the way from Marysville, our president-elect from Marysville, Lisa Knowles. Woo, Lisa! And I think Marissa Myers. Is Marissa Myers here today? She's on. All right, Marissa, wave your hand up there. Okay, and I'm seeing on Zoom that we also have past District Governor Steve Heiser. So Steve, I see you. Wave your hand, Steve. Is he waving? Yeah. I see Bobby, but I don't see him waving. And I think past District Governor Gephardt, Calvin Gephardt's on the screen. There he is. Woo-hoo. Let's see. And I'm not sure. I do have, I think a couple of, who am I missing? Say that again? Oh, Brian Stanko, there he is, past District Governor. Thank you, Brian. And I think there might be some district governors from my class, one from Ohio and one from Indiana, so I didn't see them on there, but they said they were going to attend. That's District Governor Carol Hughes and District Governor Ray Cramp, so if they're on there. Thank you guys for joining. Let's see, and also there might be somebody from Dublin City Council. Is Jane Fox in the room? Jane, there she is. Hey, Jane, welcome. Welcome to Rotary. Glad to have you. And is Elizabeth Usovicz on the Zoom? Do you see her, Steve? Elizabeth Usovicz is our zone director for zones 30 and 31. So she's kind of like my boss. So, is she there?
Yeah, that number's hammered.
There she is. Elizabeth, are you able to say a few words? I think she says she might be on the phone. But if she is free, I would love it if she could say a couple of words. Elizabeth? Maybe not? Okay, that's fine. If she were going to say a few words, I know that she would say that many of you know, those of you who are Rotarians know that our president, Sheikh Armetta,
Actually, I am here.
His focuses this year. And so he has encouraged Rotarians worldwide to focus on empowering girls through projects and through partnerships. And so that's why this meeting today is so exciting with Dr. Hinkelman, because she's doing some phenomenal things with empowering girls. And we know that projects are happening to help girls with hygiene, help girls with self-esteem, education, and so forth. And Dr. Hinkelman's work falls right in line with that. So I'm very excited to be a part of this meeting. I'm excited to hear Dr. Hinkelman. And I think that's all the introductions, unless somebody wants to wave and I missed you.
I think Elizabeth was trying to speak.
Okay, Elizabeth, are you on the line? There she
Yes.
is.
Can you hear me?
We can't hear her, Steve. Hang on, Elizabeth.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Very faintly, so 1 moment.
All right, let me see if I can speak up. Thank you very much for the invitation to be with you today. I so appreciate it. And I'm sorry I'm not back in my office so that I can be at the laptop or the workstation to be with you a little bit more completely. I am on the phone and in transit. But I am so delighted to hear Dr. Lisa's perspectives today. I've looked at the outcomes of some of the research she has done, and there are so many valuable insights in there. And as Maryjane mentioned, for the past 20 months, I've been working on the presidential initiative for Rotary on empowering girls. And that is going to continue next year. It's very important work that all of you are doing in your clubs. The work that we are doing to help change the lives of girls in the United States and all over the world is incredibly important. They face so many challenges. Quality education is, I think, one of the keys. It's a challenge and the solution to many of the other challenges that they face: teen pregnancy, nutrition, whether that's malnutrition from food scarcity in some parts of the world, or health and body image issues that result from healthy food scarcity in other communities. But we can all encourage girls and we can do so much in Rotary to enhance their well-being. So I want to thank you for the work you are doing in this area, for being here today for this very important conversation. And I so appreciate the invitation to be with you. And thank you for being members of Rotary and inviting me to participate today.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you for taking the time to be here. And Price whispered in my ear, and he said that our next incoming Rotary International president is the first woman ever to be a Rotary International president, Jennifer Jones. And he whispered into my ear that empowering girls, that initiative is going to continue into the next year. So that was when we get some wonderful ideas from Dr. Hinkelman, we'll be able to maybe carry some of those forward, or maybe develop a partnership. Who knows? So, okay, without further ado, I'm going to turn the mic over to Teresa, and she will introduce and share the story how this started out. Over a glass of wine or two. No, we were inspired when MJ came and spoke at one of our Rotary meetings, and she had stuck in my head the empowering women theme that our current international president has. So as soon as I heard that story, I thought immediately of Dr. Hinkelman. And this is a collaboration of 4 clubs. You stole a little of my thunder, but Lisa Knowles, Marissa Myers, and Susan West and I all had our heads together on the idea. So it wasn't just one club. It is all 4 clubs together presenting today. So I just want to thank you all. And ladies, it's going to be a great year in Rotary with us coming up ahead. Right? And I have to thank a lot of people that I won't see all the time, but Wolf, you deserve a ton of recognition for all the help that you gave behind the scenes. And I don't know how many years ago, but we crossed paths several times in our career. And she's just such an inspiring person. And as I mentioned a minute ago, as soon as MJ talked to our club about the empowering girls theme, I thought, oh gosh, we've got to get Dr. Hinkelman behind the mic here. So Dr. Lisa Hinkelman is an educator, counselor, researcher, and author who has spent more than 15 years researching girls and educating adults as both a professor at The Ohio State University and as the founder, CEO of the National Growth Serving nonprofit, Ruling Our Experiences, otherwise known as ROCKS. Lisa will share the ROCKS experience, which now operates programs in more than 400 schools throughout the country. And she is the author of the #1 Amazon hot new release, Girls Without Limits, Helping Girls Succeed in Relationships, Academics, Careers, and Life. And she is the lead researcher behind the groundbreaking national survey, The Girls Index, with new insights into the complex world of today's girls. Lisa received her undergraduate degrees in psychology and education from Chapman College in Pittsburgh, PA, and her master's and doctorate degrees in counselor education from the Ohio State University in Columbus. She has been honored as a woman you should know by the Women in Economic Leadership Development, otherwise known as WELL, in our town. And she is honored as a nominated change maker for the White House United States of Women and a Smart Business Nonprofit CEO of the Year. Lisa is a rock star. She is a former collegiate ice hockey player. Wow. Rescue dog lover, craft beer enthusiast. We'll drink beer with you instead of wine, that's okay. And a newish mom to a baby girl, Irene. And please help me give a warm welcome to Dr. Hinkelman.
I am really excited to be with you. It's being with people is my jam, and it's been a really long time since I've had the chance to do that. I did one talk in Pittsburgh in November, and I was like all adrenalized, and I'm like, the world is getting back, and then Omicron hit, and it just everything went virtual again. So I'm delighted to have a little time with you to share a bit about my work and my research and the state of girls. It's so exciting to me to hear that girls is the theme, because it's about time, right? In my opinion, let's pay attention to half of our future in a way that we haven't necessarily before. And I think so often we're like, oh, you run a girls program, isn't that cute? or, yay, girl power. And I'm like, no, it's not that. It's about our understanding the complexities of girls' lives, understanding the contributions that they have the potential to make, and then making individual and systemic changes so that girls have all of the opportunities that they're entitled to. And some of what I want to share with you today is kind of where girls are right now. What are the biggest challenges that they're facing? What could be holding them back from reaching their full potential? And then what are some of the things that we can actually be doing? For those of us who are parenting girls, mentoring girls, educating girls, have girls somewhere in our lives, we all have a role. And some people are like, oh, my kids are grown, I don't have girls, I don't have any interactions with them, or I don't have any daughters, I just have sons, so this isn't my issue. Well, the reality is if you have any woman in your life that you care about, which I bet most of us do, this matters to you. And so the fact that you showed up today to hear about this says to me that you care. And for that, I'm very, very grateful. So I want to share a little bit with you about my organization first, to kind of lay the groundwork of like what gives me the right to be talking about this stuff. So has anyone in here heard of ROCS before? All right, wonderful. I always get excited by that because, so ROCS began actually when I was a professor at Ohio State. In 2006, I started a research study. And I'm training people to be school counselors and mental health counselors, but I'm also working in all of these environments with girls and with women, and realizing like the stuff that's happening for girls continues to be the stuff that impacts us as grown-up girls if there's no intervention, if there's no alternate opportunity for them. And so I wrote a little grant for $10,000 and piloted a research study with 57 girls in Columbus City schools. And we started working with them in these small groups around some of these big issues like confidence and conflict management and speaking up for themselves and using their voice and developing healthy relationships and figuring out how to chart a path and a future for themselves that is no way restricted by any of the gendered messages that they may have received or even internalized. So that work then grew the next year, and then the next year, and the next year, and by 2011, I was like, maybe I should do ROCS full time and see where that can get me, instead of be a professor at Ohio State full time. Like huge, crazy leap. I grew up as I'm first in my family to go to college. So talking to my parents, like, and I'm a professor, which is bananas, right? Like, that's like, when you don't go to college and then you end up as a professor, that is not the typical path. And I remember telling my parents, like, hey, I think I might start a nonprofit. And it was like, what is that? Like, do you make a salary? And I was like, well, I won't initially, but we'll get to that point, right? And so in 2011, ROCS became its own 501c3. And I just started running as fast as I could since then, growing the organization. And we have a mission of creating generations of confident girls who control their own relationships and experiences and their decisions and their futures. Because for so long, this is not the reality. And for many girls, this is not their reality. And for us, we want to equip girls with the skills that they need to navigate the hardest things coming their way. So I'm going to show you a quick, very short video that's an overview of ROCS.
The world is complicated for girls. It's a difficult place for them to develop a strong sense of confidence. Confidence in their bodies, their abilities, their opinions, their opportunities. And ultimately, confidence in themselves. But what if there was an in-depth, evidence-based solution to help girls develop the skills needed to navigate these challenges? To help them learn how to stand up for themselves, handle pressure and conflict, and learn the power of no. Stop. I can. I will. This is the power of ROCKS, a different kind of organization with only one mission: to equip girls with the skills to live strong, independent, safe, and courageous lives. ROCKS isn't just a curriculum, it's a movement. ROCKS is empowering thousands of girls and is training parents and educators with programs in schools and communities across the country. Join the movement to help every girl say,
I am a ROCKS girl, and I'm ruling my own experiences
from this generation forward. Go to rulingourexperiences.org to learn more.
So what we now do as an organization is that we run school-based programming for girls. We train and license professionals. So we train and license school counselors and social workers, mental health professionals and educators to take a 20-week curriculum back to their schools and run it in small groups with girls. This curriculum focuses on healthy communication, helping girls develop assertiveness and the belief that they have the right and ability to stand up for themselves. We help girls navigate girl drama and the conflict that often happens between girls and starts really young. We help girls develop confidence in their bodies and not internalize some of those media messages that say, like, this is what you're supposed to look like, and this is what your body size is supposed to be, and this is the kind of hair that you have to have, and the eyebrows and the eyelashes, just to own their own physicality in a positive way. We help girls navigate social media, which in 2006 actually wasn't part of the ROCKS curriculum because social media wasn't a thing yet, right? Now it's the biggest thing. Like in 6 and 7 is kind of when Facebook was just getting going, and now girls are like, ew, Facebook. My parents are, my grandparents are on Facebook, right? They like hate it. But how prevalent social media and then the impact of everything that social media touches in girls' lives, from how they feel about their bodies to how they feel about their relationships and their academics. And so at this point, we have ROCKS programming in 21 states across the country. And we've had about 20,000 girls go through our program. And so we continue to scale this model based on training new facilitators. Right now, we're training virtually facilitators. This week and next week, we'll train 80 new women to go run programs throughout their communities. The other aspect that we do, was some of what I more want to share with you today, is we do research and training that is centered around girls. And so we have a research and training institute where we conduct large-scale national research with girls. And some of that is what I'm going to share, but you can also pull down all of the reports and work that I'm going to talk about from the Girls Index. So the Girls Index is a large-scale national research study deployed in schools. Our first iteration of it had about 10,000 girls, and we're currently conducting the second round of research, which is a 5-year increment from the first round. We ask girls all kinds of questions, from the time that they spend on social media, to their perceptions of their abilities, to how they navigate their relationships. Because in our work, we believe that girls are the experts on their own lives. And that they need to invite us in to understand what's going on. So often we approach girls as like, oh, I was your age once, and I know exactly how you feel. And they're looking at us like, you were never my age, and when you were, like, there wasn't any electricity, so you don't understand what I'm going through, right? Because they just see us as so disconnected from their lived reality, because most of us didn't grow up with phones attached to our bodies. Most of us didn't grow up with social media, like, dictating every move that we make. Most of us grew up in a different time, and while some of the pressures we would say are similar, the lived experience is very different. And so instead of trying to convince girls that you get them, no, I totally get you. Like, I'm the cool mom, I get you. We have to say, you know what, like, it is really different. Like, help me understand, right? Invite them to share. That's the approach we take. Not like, well, let me give you some advice from my 8th grade year. Say like, tell me, man, I know 8th grade was hard for me. What's it like for you? I know when like I got dumped before homecoming, like that totally sucked. But what's it feel like for you? She might be like, oh my God, it was a total relief. I did not want to go with them anyway, right? And we might have been putting our own stuff on her. So allowing her to share with us is exactly the approach that we take in our work with ROCS. And so the Girls Index was a way for us to get into the minds of not just ROCS girls. I wanted to get a large-scale, nationally representative sample, which we did. Because we looked at the US Census and then we matched the schools that we surveyed. So that demographically, socioeconomically, we're able to say that this sample, plus or minus 2%, is 98% representative of what we would expect here from girls. So we asked all these different kinds of questions. Leadership, stress, technology, social media. I'm going to share with you another quick video, and I know that the audio was kind of low. This is also available on our website, and I'll follow up with an email to Teresa with everything that I'm sharing of the links that you can then download or watch again after our time together.
At ROCS, we wanted to gain a deeper understanding of the challenges girls face every day. Not just in one region, one community, or one type of school, but everywhere. That's why we developed the Girls Index, the first ever largest of its kind national survey designed to provide new insights into the complex world of today's girls. We surveyed over 10,000 girls from across the country and asked them about the issues impacting their lives. Here's what we learned. Confidence declines sharply from 5th to 9th grade and doesn't return to pre-middle school levels. By the time girls get to high school, 46% don't believe they're smart enough for their dream career. 1 in 3 stay away from leadership positions because they don't want to appear bossy. And 1 in 2 don't speak their mind or disagree with others because they want to be liked. Even among the highest achieving girls, confidence is an issue. 30% with a 4.0 grade point average don't think they're smart enough for their dream job. The Girls Index showed us that we are not dealing with a lack of competence, rather a crisis of confidence. This research has also helped us understand the role of technology and social media in girls' relationships, aspirations, and well-being. We learned that most high school girls spend 6 hours each day using social media. And those who spend the most time online are 5 times more likely to say they are sad or depressed nearly every day. Girls who spend the most time engaged with technology and social media are less likely to have supportive friendships, participate in extracurricular activities, trust other girls, and enjoy coming to school. But by building confident girls who have effective friendships, we can combat many of these challenges. Over and over, as we asked girls what they needed to be successful, their #1 response was confidence. Because confident girls are more likely to share their opinions. Confident girls put trust in themselves and each other. Confident girls grow up to be the brave leaders of tomorrow. Together, we can turn this crisis of confidence into the opportunity of a generation. To learn more about the groundbreaking research in the Girls Index and about ROCS, go to www.rulingourexperiences.org.
Okay, so I would bet if you could hear some of that narrative, there were a few statistics that probably felt the way to you. Maybe surprising, maybe confirming to some of the things that you've seen or experienced. But there tend to be a few that kind of jump out. And one of the first ones is that stat on confidence. Watching from 5th to 9th grade, the level of confidence declines sharply for girls. And then it doesn't recover. It just hangs out. So when you see, that's that pink line up there, drop to 9th grade, hang out throughout high school. Our research ends in 12th grade. Do you think girls become more confident in college? Finally, we're like, ooh, I got this figured out. No. When they get their first job, that's when you feel expert. No. Actually, research from Harvard that came out probably about 2-3 years ago at this point said that women don't begin to rate themselves as more confident than men until their mid-40s. So, you know, here's your time, right? But to me, that says, okay, so do you know how old you are in 5th grade? Like 10. So from age 10 to, let's say, 45, we're not necessarily actualizing our full potential. If we're at our best in 5th grade, we're screwed, right? Like, let's be honest. So when I think about this and what happens in your life between 10 and 45, it's a lot of stuff. And when I think about the decisions that we make based upon how we feel about ourselves, that's the part we have to pay attention to. Because we know that confidence is connected to decision making. More confident girls make better decisions. More confident people make better decisions. And so when we think about our investment in girls, it's to create girls who are more confident so that they're making better, stronger decisions in every aspect of their life. More confident girls will take more rigorous courses in school. More confident girls will leave unhealthy relationships more readily than others. More confident girls will speak their mind, disagree with others, stand up for what they believe in differently than girls who lack confidence. So one of the things I think is really important to emphasize here is the black line on this chart, which was not demonstrated in the video. The black line on this chart represents the percentage of girls who want to change their appearance. Look what happens between 5th and 9th grade. 5th grade, most girls are feeling confident and few dislike how they look. Look what happens. And then that just hangs out. There is an intense relationship between appearance and confidence for girls and women. Because as a world, that's what we emphasize first. We give little girls feedback on how they look more than we give them feedback on who they are. If there's a little girl who came in here and came up to your table to meet you, and let's say she was 3, and she ran up and was so excited, I bet we all would go, oh my God, you are so cute. You are adorable. Look at you. You are gorgeous. Right? Every time we see a little girl, we comment on her appearance. What does that tell her about where her value lies? It's the first thing we do. Because what if she walked up to us and we were like, oh, hey, tell me about your favorite book. You know, we would like have to stop ourselves and think of something different. We don't necessarily do that to little boys in the same way, particularly as they start to get older. Because then we have this routine experience of every time we see a girl, she might be 8, she might be 10. The first thing we say is, oh my God, I love your outfit. Ah, oh, you have a haircut, that's looking good. Ooh, have you lost weight? We would never be like, ooh, COVID did bad for you. Right? We go to the appearance related compliments first for girls and women. So when girls then connect their value to their appearance, we can't be mad about it. When girls are taking like sexy selfies and posting them at all these weird angles and waiting for the likes, we're like, what is wrong with these girls? They only care about how they look. I'm like, well, we've done that. We've reinforced that for them. We've told them their value comes first from their appearance and everything else they are is second. So when I see this relationship, it tells me that we have a chance to undo some of this. We have a chance to help girls see the internal strengths and characteristics, qualities that they possess that have nothing to do with how they look. You know what? Because she's a million other things. She's creative and she's athletic and she's kind and she's hardworking and she's musical and she's innovative. She's all this other stuff. Let's help her see that. Because research also tells us that when we can minimize the value of the external and increase the value of the internal, we can shift that perspective. We can shift the way she feels about herself. Because you can't be good at being pretty. Right? I mean, you can spend a lot of money on it, right? You put a lot of effort into it. But she's so much more than that. What we also see in girls is that their perceptions of their abilities and their opportunities decline as they get older. So from elementary school to middle school to high school, we see girls who don't think that they're smart enough for their dream job don't. So by the time girls are in high school, almost half don't think that they're smart enough for their dream job. Did you notice that stat in the research that said 30% of girls with a 4.0 GPA don't think they're smart? Were you like, stop everything? Because you know what we see is girls with a 4.0, and we're like, she's got it all together. She's good. She doesn't need anything. She don't need rocks. She's got a 4.0. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Just because we have intellectual performance does not equate to internal sense of confidence. That girl who has it all together, who's the star athlete, who is the 4.8 GPA, who's applied to 72 colleges, she has a little pressure on her. Right? She's invested in being perfect. And her sense of herself does not necessarily match what your sense of her is. We actually saw that that group of girls, the highest achieving, were also the least likely to say that they would speak their mind or disagree with others because they needed to be liked. So if you've got this girl who's like, I don't understand, she's got it all together, she's brilliant, she's beautiful, she's talented, why doesn't she see that? Because she sees and experiences herself differently than you see and experience her. What we also see is that about half of girls think that most girls their age are embarrassed to be smart. So even though we're starting to turn the tide on this and we're like, no, smart is cool, it's still not a pervasive acceptance of smartness among girls. You can be super smart, but you also have to be, right? You could be super smart, but you have to be pretty. Or you could be super smart, but you have to be sexy. You could be super smart, but you have to be something else to almost offset it. Because just super smart at its own is still like, meh. So when we think about what we're dealing with, we're not dealing with issues of competence, right? Girls are insanely competent. Where they're struggling is in their confidence, with their belief in their own abilities. And so when we're not cultivating their confidence, they're not speaking their mind. They're not sharing their opinion. I would say if you have a girl in your life, how does she speak up for herself? Does she have an opinion? Is she willing to call the coach and say like, hey, can we talk about my playing time? Or does she make you call? Is she willing to go to her teacher and say like, hey, I think you marked this question wrong on my test, but I think I got it right. Or would that paralyze her? Would she have an opinion about where you should go to lunch? And you're like, oh my, she has all opinions. She doesn't need any more confidence. Well, she might be that in your family, but what's she like when she steps outside? What we know is that confidence is not built through compliments. You can't like compliment people into feeling great about themselves. Sometimes that's like what we go to, is like, I'm just gonna tell her how great she is, and you're so great, and you're so pretty, and you're so smart. That's compliments, right? And so if all I do is tell you how great and smart and pretty you are every day, but I'm not there to do that, do you still experience yourself that way? It's not compliments that girls need, it's experiences. Experiences to feel themselves competent and capable to try new things, to see what it would be like to call that coach and say like, hey, I wondered if we could talk about my playing time. I use that as an example because it just annoys me so much. I used to coach too, and I'm like, if one more parent calls me to talk about their kids' playing time, right? Equip her, enable her to have the hard conversations. Enable her to say like, hey, you're sitting a little too close to me, I don't like that. Enable her to say, no, I'm not sending you that photo. Instead of saying, if you respect yourself, you will make good decisions. That's ambiguous. Helping her actually say the words, that's concrete, that's a skill. Right? So for us, it's like, what are the scenarios that they're gonna face? And then what are the skills that they need to navigate that scenario? Social media is a big one right now, right? Why do these girls send these pictures of themselves? If they respected themselves, they never would do that. I get that. But what skills do they need? They need to learn how to deal with pressure and coercion. They need to know how to say no. They need to be able to articulate for themselves what they want to say and practice saying it in person and via technology. Those are discrete, buildable skills. Those are also things that girls aren't learning on the regular. They're hearing a lot about self-respect, and nice girls don't do this, and you're so pretty, I don't know why you feel this way. But they're not getting those building blocks. Here's the thing. People build our comfort, right? I can create a comfortable environment. And that's what you get to do in girls' lives. You can create, whether it's your niece or your daughter or a mentor, a mentee, you can create an environment where she feels safe, safe to try something new. Because none of us will try something new in a place where we think we're going to be made fun of, where we can't be vulnerable, where if I raise my hand and get the question wrong, everyone's going to laugh at me, where if I try the new skill or I try the new technique and it bombs, I'm going to be so embarrassed. Creating safe environments means that I can practice it there so that when I have to do it in real life, I can do it. For anyone who's played an instrument or a sport, it's never the performance of the game where you decide you're like, you know what, I think I'm gonna see if I can throw that curveball. No, you're gonna throw it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times in practice. So that when you try it in the game, you've already done it. You're not gonna say like, hey, my recital's tomorrow, let me find something new to play. You're gonna find that piece of music and you're gonna practice it and hone it and get the stuff that you always mess up on, so that when you go to the performance, to the recital, you've got it down. We're the practice ground for girls, right? We're the soft place to land. That's what their family should be. That's what their friends should be. That's what Rocks is for them. The place to try out the hard stuff so that when I have to go do it in real life, I got it. I know I just have a few more minutes, but I wanted to talk about one more piece. When we think about what's happening, we see girls opting out of options and opportunities because of their confidence, not their abilities. And so we see a lack of representation in lots of sectors. It's starting to get better in some places, and in some places it's not. So in the area of leadership, that's why I'm so excited that you're seeing a trend here in your organization, because it takes a long time to make shifts. And what we know is that leadership at all levels is one of the areas where girls still are very underrepresented. I mean, my area, education, for example, when you think of a teacher, most people think of a female, just like default, right? Particularly if you think of an elementary school teacher, you think of a female. And that's right, because 86% of K through 12 teachers are female. Do you know how many school superintendents are female? All right, you got 86% to pick from. Across the country, it's about 12%. So even in the most female-dominated industry like education, when it comes to the highest levels of leadership, there's not a clear path for girls. That's even, the statistics are even worse in places that aren't female-dominated, right? Like Fortune 500 companies. There's like 5 female CEOs. Okay. So when we say like, you can be anything, you can do anything, you could just go be anything you want, the world is all yours. We could say that, but what they actually see and experience is different than that. So we don't want to minimize their aspirations, but we also have to create the pathways and the opportunities so that they can see themselves in those. One of the things that we learned about, and we saw in the video, is that 1 in 3 girls said that they're afraid to be a leader because they don't want people to think they're bossy. We presented this data via Lean In, the Lean In organization, Sheryl Sandberg's organization, and many of the women who were part of that work said, I still feel that way. Because bossy is not a term that is typically applied to boys and men. The same characteristics that are displayed by boys and men, when displayed by girls and women, get named different. So he's assertive, quick-witted, and makes quick decisions. She's bossy, bitchy, strident, and all of these other kind of words that are like, whoa! Same behavior gets labeled differently because we have different expectations. We've been socialized to believe that when expressed in this way, oh, she's abrasive, she's like nails on a chalkboard. We see that play itself out in ways that make girls then say like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't want people to think I'm bossy. So as we see what's happening here, we watch girls opt out a little bit, right? Like, I want people to, I want people to think I'm nice. Girls are very concerned with being nice. And they get taught that too. We tell girls to be nice. But you know what? Nice and confident can happen at the same time. You can be super kind and have boundaries. You can be super kind and have opinions. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And so that's what we want girls to understand and to recognize. And there's specific skills that girls need differently. So when people are like, when are you making the rocks for boys? I'm like, I'm not making the rocks for boys. Like somebody can make a program for boys, but what girls need is different. Because the data show us that we can't universally apply a program and expect similar results because their unique needs vary. So when we talk about equality, I always talk about equity. Equity means we give you what you need to be successful, not give everybody the same thing. I use an example of a book around this, and I know we're using a lot of sports analogies today, but like, if you're on a team, you're on the 8th grade basketball team, and I give you all the same size shoes and all the same size uniform, because that's equality. You get all the same. Would everyone be able to perform to their best? No. Be like, these shoes don't even, this is way too big, or I'm not wearing this out there, right? Equity means I see where you are, and I give you what you need to get to that next place. And so for me, it's helping us identify these challenges, and then giving girls specifically what they need from a skills, from experiences, from opportunities, to build their competencies, to build their confidence, to be that next generation of leaders. Because you know what, when we're like, where are all the women leaders? We don't have any women on our board. I don't know where they are. It's too late to start. We have to start now to cultivate the female leaders that we want for our future. If we want to get to that place of equal representation and opportunity, it's about how we invest in this generation to be the leaders that we want for our future. So I could not be more delighted that Rotary is investing in that right now, and that belief in cultivating this next generation of leaders. And so I'm grateful for the time to be with you today. I know there's a few minutes left for questions, if anyone has any. All of the information that I shared and the research is available to pull down on our website. So there's like little research briefs that you can pull down. There's videos that you can pull down, information on where we have programs. So if you're like, does my school have a ROCS program? You can go on the website and look at where is ROCS, and there's a map of the country. And you could click and see if your child's school or the school in your area has ROCS program. So thank you so much, and I'm open for questions.
Question back and take that.
I have a granddaughter who's halfway through now 6th grade. So this is where she goes from 5th grade. Supposedly the Donald's fire. So what can we do to make her have more confidence? She was in Georgia, so the training maker is probably going to be mostly remotely.
I wrote this really great book called Girls Without Limits. And I say that tongue in cheek, but like, I wish there was just like this quick, like, just do this and she'll be more confident. I think that's a complex question with a complex answer, right? Because I think that, the question is, I have a granddaughter who is in 5th going on to 6th grade and is at that kind of crucial point of where confidence begins to become compromised. What are some things that I can do to build her confidence? And she's out of state. And so I think that, you know, there's these aspects of her experience that you can control and ones that you can't, especially being far away. And so I think some of the things that I want to do is have open conversations with that girl, see what she's into and what she's working on. What are the kinds of hobbies that she's engaged in? I'd be interested in how much time she's spending on social media and how she feels after she's doing that. I would be interested in connecting her to positive people, experiences, and opportunities outside of her family too, because the middle school years, let's be honest, like our parents are not the people that we necessarily go to easily for advice. And so some parents get really upset about that, like you want to be that person. But for some, helping girls connect with other support people that you trust and other positive things are ways to have her keep an open line of communication with other adults who will give her a safe place to be, to talk to about things that she might feel uneasy talking to her parents about. As a grandparent, you sometimes have an easier connection to some of those hard conversations too, because you're not mom and dad. And so opening the lines of communication with open-ended questions too. Like not, did you have a good day at school today? That's like a yes or no, right? But tell me something that happened at school today. Requires a little more, right? And the more we can engage in and understanding their reality, the more we can build that point of connection. So sometimes it's, tell me about this. I'd like to know more about it. You know this TikTok thing? I see it everywhere, like, I don't understand it too much. Could you show me? And they'll be like, oh, right? And they'll take your phone and be like, right? But then they're the expert, right? instead of being like, this TikTok is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, you say like, you know what, this is kind of new and it's not something I'm real familiar with. Show me how it works. Show me who you follow. Show me what you're into. And then it elevates them. It makes them the expert, which of course feels so great. And then it gives you chances to connect. And those kind of connections can happen remotely. I saw a question over here. Okay.
So the whole thing about we need the sixth grade, is that, what about the peer pressure, like the expectations of the educators?
Like,
For example, one like my fifth grade, all that extra curriculum, teaching what, it's the middle school, much punishment, after the end of the sixth grade. Nobody looked at it and said, hey, what's happening here? Luckily, none of this the whole 3 years, no. What percentage of that is here to say, well, we can't do that? Kids say, don't be smart.
okay, so I think that I'm going to try to reframe is what's happening during middle school a function of the girls or a function of her environment, educators who are throwing up their hands and saying like middle school is too hard, or is it what's happening in girls socially and interpersonally? So I would say that we see these trends regardless of school environment. Okay, so in little independent schools that cost $30,000 a year to go to, where there's a high teacher-student ratio with middle school experts and support systems all around, we still see the drop in confidence. We still see that happen. So while those supports, of course, provide opportunities for girls to fare better, the statistics don't change. So at the highest needs urban schools to the most affluent independent schools, the same trends persist. So what we see happening for girls is a function of course, puberty, right? That matters. There's like hormones happening and bodies are changing in ways that some are really excited about and some are terrified of, right? And there is some elements to then how the world begins to treat girls differently based upon how they look. Puberty is getting younger and younger. That's been a trend. So African-American girls start to hit puberty around age 9.5 or 10. For Caucasian girls, it's just about a year later. Okay? So we're talking about, let's say, 10, 11-year-old girls who might look like they're 16 or 17. And so the world starts to treat them like that when they're not prepared for that at all. And so part of what is happening there is, of course, the personal, social, interpersonal, physiological changes, but then it's how the world begins to interface with them as well.
Yep.
So I have a 9-year-old granddaughter who's African American. She looks like she's 16.
Yeah.
And she wants to dance on the front porch. And I constantly struggle with, I'm not trying to body shame her, right?
Yeah.
The girl stops working on the front porch, because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, how do we find that balance to not say, I've said it's not safe, I don't know what else to tell her. I'm like, oh, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
Give her something positive about it, but it is a real struggle to figure out without going into the house and don't do that, and then she's ashamed.
Yeah.
I don't want her to.
Well, and you bring up an important point, which is a whole other talk, but is that African American girls are adultified much younger, and we see that happen in the school system. It's very pronounced, but we treat young Black girls as though they should be behaving like older adolescents when they're little girls, and we also sexualize them very young as well. Their bodies tend to develop earlier. Their bodies might be more curvaceous than their white peers. And so our minds begin to treat them like grown-ups when they are still little girls. And sometimes what happens in this is that girls then start to sexualize themselves. This is not a black girl phenomenon. All girls begin to do that because that's where the world tells them their value is coming from. And so I think in this instance, you know, I never want to be the one who's victim blaming, right? Well, you were asking for it. What did you think was going to happen when you wore that shirt? Or what did you think was going to happen? I think that is the very wrong way to approach things because it's never a person's fault when violence happens to them. It's the person who did it. And so there are conversations I would have about like, hey, tell me about what you like about dancing. Tell me what it means differently for you to dance inside versus outside. And to explore what is it that is exciting for her, because for some girls, getting attention does feel really great. And then I think it's exploring for her the kinds of attention that she wants to get and the why behind that. Because just saying, don't do that, or you're gonna get it, is, it will be a worse strategy as she gets older, right? Because for adolescents, like, you're not allowed to do that because I said so, tends to be a like, oh, I can't wait to figure out how to do that, right? So I think it's kind of unpeeling it a little bit to understand what is the motivation there, and what is she seeing in the media and in the people that she follows that gives her that as like a thing that's exciting for her. That's a really short answer to a really complicated question, I think. And I would refer you to some other experts in this arena for sure, because this is a very big topic that's coming up lately.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
So we take the woman parent differently. I got a couple things on my mind. So thank you so much, Dr. Hinkelman. You really shed a lot of great light on this topic that we all think is very important. She is not able to stay to network. She would love to take more questions, but she is off and running to another event. So give her another round of applause. Thank you for your attention to the lunch that you had today. I don't know if anybody in the room has heard of Freedom a la carte. It is a fabulous group that we like to use as often as we can to support the organization. They actually get women out of the sex trafficking trade and off the street, and they help empower them and get them into building lives of freedom and self-sufficiency. So that's another effort that we make to support women today. I'll hand it back over to President Steve.
Thank you, and thank you again, Dr. Hinkelman. That was a fantastic presentation. Now, I know it's 4 minutes after 1 o'clock, but we do have a raffle, and then we'll get everybody out of here. So, yes, it is a 50-50 raffle, and the 50 goes to the Rocks organization. But Jerry, what do we have?
Which will be $80, and that will sponsor one girl through this program.
Fantastic.
And I came to what I thought was a girl. So take a ticket out of it, will you? Now, you've all got a lot of tickets, so pay attention. The last 4 digits are 6, 4, 6, 7. And there's a winner. Chicken dinner. For 2, $80.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Another child, because Roe is very good. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. As is tradition in our club, we will finish with the 4-way test. Give me 1 quick second. What would be a Rotary meeting without the 4-way test? All right, so if you would all please rise and join me in reciting the 4-way test. Let me share something. All right, first, is it the truth? Oh wait, let me start. I messed that up. Of the things we think, say, and do, first, is it the truth? Second, favor of all concerned. Third, fulfill goodwill and our friendships. And fourth, will be for all concerned. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Have a great rest of your week. We are adjourned.
This thing is a bell, Steve. I thought about that. Not meeting. Yeah, good. Good job. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good program. I heard her speak before. Somewhere. I don't remember where. I heard her speak before. I don't remember where.